Hey besties, welcome back to another Readathon Roundup where I share all of the readathons happening in October. And let me tell you, there are so many readathons. I have 28 for you today. Most of these are individual challenges, so kind of run around a bingo board or some type of activity that you manage yourself. And then we have a couple competitive readathons as well. So if you already know the style of readathon that you enjoy, you're welcome to jump to the different timestamps to get the information you want most. Otherwise, we're going to go through these really quickly because most of them are pretty similar in setup and design. So the first readathon I want to mention is Halloweenathon, and this is hosted by Kelsey at Slime and Slashers, and this readathon has already started. It's running through September 22nd all the way through October 31st, and this is an interesting readathon because it combines the love of reading but also with nostalgia and film. There are over 20 prompts that you can choose from, and you can fulfill these prompts by either reading a book or watching a movie. So you can participate however you would like to. You can mix and match, but the fun part is there is a community for you to connect with over Discord. So be sure to check out that readathon if you love all things Halloween. Another readathon that has already started is the Not-So-Scary-Athon. Sounds like something I need to do because I am a wimp. This is hosted by the Brightside Girl, and she is the queen of readathons. She does so many throughout the year, but this year's theme for October is going to be vampires versus villains. And there's going to be 2 bingo boards to choose from with 5 reading prompts on each and 5 activity prompts to complete over a 2-week period. And this year that is taking place September 23rd through October 6th. This will be primarily hosted over on Instagram, but you don't need a social media to participate. It's all for fun. It's just a fun way to jumpstart the season, and you can make it as scary or not so scary as you like. Next, we have Spookoplathon, and this is hosted by Becca in the Books, and this is going on the whole month of October, and it's a board game style readathon in which Becca has shared her Bookopoly board, which is a Monopoly style TBR game that she created a long time ago, and she's made a printable version for you shared on a Google Drive, so you can just download it and choose your TBR the same way that she has so many times. This will be an individual challenge, but there is a Discord chat and some reading sprints to give you a little bit of a community element, but those are totally optional, and you basically choose how little or how much you want to participate. Next, we have a one-day readathon called Relax and Readathon. This is hosted by the Reading Nymph, and she does this a couple times throughout the year, but basically it's just a one day dedicated to cozying up with a book and reading along with others if you want. There is a 9-square bingo board that just suggests some ideas for a cozy fall read or a cozy fall activity, and you can connect with others the day of the readathon, which is October 12th this year. And then similar to Relax and Readathon, we have the Cozy Cottage Readathon, and this is going on the whole month. So if you want to continue pairing your reads with your cozy activities, this is the readathon for you. Completing the different challenges and prompts by reading books and activities earns you little entries, and there's going to be a giveaway at the end. So all you cozy kids, check that one out. Then we have TBR Harvest 2024. This is for everyone like me who maybe has 100 or 200 extra books on their TBR that they need to read. So this is a non-competitive readathon, but it is built to encourage you to knock down your physical TBR goals before the end of the year. There are 3 activity sheets. One involves escaping a haunted house by choosing your own adventure. One is a Candyland-style corn maze, and one is a fall-themed bucket list. Each activity sheet encourages you to discover and support other book channels as well. In fact, we'll be talking about a more competitive readathon later on in this video that has a special advantage if you participate in this one as well. There are bookmarks and bonfire merch and a variety of booktubers hosting reading sprints, so it will be a lot of fun. Next, we have For the Culture Readathon, and this is hosted by Book Tribe with Ty, and this will be hosted over on her Instagram. And it'll take place the whole month of October. And for this readathon, we will be celebrating Black culture by reading books written by Black authors with prompts inspired by Black witches. There will be a 9-prompt bingo board, an optional group read, and a storygraph challenge, and of course some Instagram interaction. Next we have Blackoween, which is hosted by the Locked Booktician. And this is similar to the previous readathon, except we are primarily focusing on reading crime, mystery, thriller, and horror novels, with a little romance in there too. This is going to be a math-style challenge in which you choose a role, and that role will determine how many books you read during the month. This is a reoccurring readathon, so there's some participants that have already been working towards their goals, but this is a good place for new participants to jump in. So if you're interested, check it out. There's also merch and a group read happening as well. Next, we have Trick-or-Treatathon hosted by Connor Stompanato, and this is taking place the whole month of October, and it is the 5th round of this readathon, so they've been doing it for quite a while. This year's theme is based off of Stephen King novels. There are going to be 9 prompts to inspire your reading choices throughout the month, and you can interact with other participants over the official Instagram page. This is a low-stakes point system if you need some extra motivation, but it's all for fun and for the hope of making some new friends in the process along the month. Up next, we have Ominous October Readathon hosted by Angel Can't Read. And this is going to be a 1-week readathon happening October 11th through the 17th. It's a week-long readathon focused only on horror books. There is a 9-square bingo board to inspire your reads and ways to interact with others over Instagram. So if you are someone who only reads horror in October, then this is probably the community for you. After that, we have Mysteries for Autumn, and this is hosted by Ellie's Cozy Chronicles, happening all month. And this readathon encourages you to read from a variety of mysteries, including a historical mystery, contemporary mystery, a vintage mystery, and a children's mystery or short story. So if you want to broaden your scope of mystery books, this may be a good community for you to connect with. And then we have ARC-Tober, hosted by Addie's Bookshelf over on Instagram, and it's happening the whole month. ARC-Tober is designed to help book lovers, reviewers, and content creators tackle their towering pile of advanced readers' copies, otherwise known as ARCs, while boosting their NetGalley ratio and connecting with fellow readers. This is a month-long challenge to encourage readers to have fun while making progress on their ARC lists, whether it's catching up on an overdue review, discovering a new release, or enjoying thrilling, cozy fall reads. Through community support, creative prompts, and a variety of challenges, ARC-Tober is a celebration of all things bookish. Then we have SCAREathon, and this is hosted by this Kiwi. And in this readathon, you are climbing the ranks from Scaredy Cat to Scaremaster by reading intimidating books that are on your TBR. There is a Discord group for a community element, but you are essentially following a large 25-square bingo board with prompts to guide your reading. So while most of these readathons have focused on fall, spooky elements, we do have a readathon for the romance girlies as well, and this one is called Love in the Night. This is hosted by quite a few people, so I'll be sure to link their channels below in the description, but this is taking place October 7th through the 13th, and like I said, it's a readathon for romance readers. This team of hosts has a bingo board, a scavenger hunt, a group read, and some live streams to encourage some flirty fall reading together. So check them out. Next, we have Vox Machinathon, and this is hosted by Somber Honey Books. This is going on all month, and this readathon is inspired by the D&D podcast Critical Role. It's a very popular podcast, but I've never seen a readathon based around a podcast before, so I thought that was really interesting. There's going to be 7 reading prompts and 6 activity prompts based on the characters that they use in a D&D campaign, and you can interact with this community over Instagram if you are a fan of both reading Dungeons & Dragons and the podcast Critical Role. So if that sounds like you, be sure to check out Somber Honey Books. Then we have the Middle-earth Readathon hosted by The Writing Songbird, and this readathon is inspired by Lord of the Rings. There are 9 prompts in honor of the Fellowship, and there's going to be a buddy read of The Hobbit, reading sprints every Tuesday, and some more Middle-earth fun along the way. So if you are a Lord of the Rings diehard fan, check out Middle-earth Readathon. Another fun readathon is the Thick Thighs Readathon, and this happens a couple times a year, but our next round is happening October 1st through the 7th, and this is hosted by Sash Reads. It's a week-long readathon that encourages you to read books with plus-size representation. Again, there's going to be a 9-square bingo board with a mix of prompts and activities and a Discord to meet some new friends. Next, we have Stay Spooky-athon, hosted by Nikki's Bookish Coven. And this is going on all month, and it is a fall-themed readathon which will include all of the readathon favorite things. We have a bingo board, we got reading sprints, we have a 24 in 48 weekend readathon, buddy reads with live discussions, a movie night, and some fun merch. So this readathon really has thought of everything, and it sounds like a good time. Next, we have the Spooky Scary Skeleton Readathon, hosted by Nicole's Bookish Nook. And again, this is going on all month of October, and there are 8 spooky season prompts ranging from reading a horror classic to reading a book with a black cover. So you can read as many or as few, as easy or as hard as you like. This is all for fun. This is just giving you some ideas of what to read in October. Another readathon is Rainboween, and this is hosted by this sassy library fox. This is going to be an all-month readathon, which includes a 20-square bingo board encouraging LGBTQIA plus representation that are also a little spooky, creepy, and fulfill the reading prompts set aside for you. So if you are in the mood for a fall rainbow read, check out this readathon. Next, we have Victober, which is hosted by a couple Victorian literature lovin' girlies who have set up a readathon for you. So Victober is a month-long readathon celebrating Victorian literature. Example, British and Irish literature published and or written between 1837 and 1901, which are the years of Queen Victoria's reign. Each of the 4 hosts has prepared a prompt, and there is a group challenge as well as a group reading of The Doctor's Wife by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. So if you enjoy Victorian literature, this is a very niche readathon community that you probably want to pair up with. Check out their video. Next, we have ARC-Tober, hosted by Shantana Hadvig, and this is a month-long readathon with a bingo board reading challenge inspired by quotes from the Anne of Green Gables franchise. So if you love that series, if it's near and dear to your heart, maybe you want to find your next read based on some wise words from that series. Up next, we have Smatella, hosted by Read with Dr. B. This is going to be a week-long readathon happening October 7th through the 13th. And this is for the dark romance lovers, the spicy readers, the mature content, trigger warning style books. If this is you, check out this readathon. The theme this year is Masks and Monsters. There are going to be 5 pre-selected books by Vanessa herself, and she's going to be hosting 3 to 4 reading sprints throughout the week for a community element while you read these books together. This is obviously a readathon for 18 and up since it involves more mature content. And the last individual readathon we have to talk about today is OCTOBER Readathon. This readathon has a couple hosts and it's happening all month of October, but the theme for this year's OCTOBER is prophetic galaxies. So we are mixing some sci-fi with gothic literature. There will be some community activities like a evening of crafts, a watch along, a quiz, a giveaway, and some live streams to keep things engaging throughout the month. They also have a very interesting way to deliver your prompts. There is a game that they've set up that you go onto this website and you have to pick these different celestial symbols, and depending on which symbols you pick, you get a list of your TBR. So I thought that was interesting since everyone will end up with their own TBR and it'll be unique to the sigils that you choose. So I thought that was interesting. Be sure to check out their readathon just because it's neat. Whew, I didn't think we would get through all of those so fast, but here we are. Now that we've finished all of the individual reading challenges, we need to get into some role-playing and competitive challenges. So the first one on this list is the Library of Dragons. This month is actually a side quest, but it is a good month for people to begin their journey within this Library of Dragons world. So like I said, it's an ongoing readathon, and this is created over by Books to Ashes. And it's a choose your own adventure D&D style readathon in which your character goes on a journey of finding, hatching, and taming dragons before taking paths that can create or destroy kingdoms, getting jobs with dragons, and other fun possibilities with your newfound friend. So like I said, it's a side quest for an ongoing readathon. So you can start at the beginning of the readathon so your character can go over the whole journey, or you can continue on with this readathon that you're already participating in. So if this world sounds interesting to you, be sure to check out her video for more information. There's also a Discord community that can get you set up as well. Up next is Fablen. This is hosted by The Word Nerd, and it's another Dungeons & Dragons based readathon in which you will be following a 5-act campaign. You don't need to know anything about D&D to participate, but just know that it kind of follows the structure of the game, and it's a role-playing option for your readathon. So you'll create a character, that character will join a team, and as a team you're going to face certain encounters throughout the month which will allow you to respond. Those responses will come in the form of reading prompts, and based on which reading prompt you choose, that gives your character their next motion in the game. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure style readathon, which I think sounds really interesting. For faster readers, there's also going to be optional side quests, and as you read throughout the month, you're going to get different points for your teams. There's ways you can get bonus points just by reading certain books associated with your character that you build. There's going to be penalties for coming in last place per round, but there's also ways to get out of those consequences too. It's very structured like a game of D&D. We're just combining it with reading books. Since this is a role-playing game, you'll be building a character, and the selections you make will also earn you extra points. There are bookmarks and merch available as well. Another cool thing about this readathon is that if you combine this one with the TBR Harvest readathon, you'll get an extra perk among both readathons. So it's a fun one if you like to do more than one readathon per month. The next competitive readathon we have is Horrorathon, and this is hosted by Vay Bay Reads on Instagram. This is happening all month. These prompts will be spooky, fall, and horror themed. There will be 4 teams based on the big horror baddies. We've got Ghostface, Freddy, Chucky, and Michael. Team prompts will be related to their corresponding character and movie, and there will be a surprise extra points released weekly. Most prompts are very generic, so nobody has to read anything horror or thriller if you don't want to, but for the horror fans out there, we see you, and this readathon is for you. And our last competitive readathon to talk about is the Dark Tower Readathon. This is hosted by The Bookish Drummer, and it's happening October 1st through 31st. This is another Stephen King readathon with a Dark Tower theme. So you're going to choose to be on one of 4 teams. It's a competitive readathon where each team is trying to climb the Dark Tower the fastest. You earn points based on the prompt values as well as bonus points for page count. There are different ways to strategize your reading, so you can earn the most points for your team, and all of this will be taking place over Discord. So if you are a fan of Stephen King, this might be the community for you. All right, well, we did it. We got through all 28 readathons, and now it's the hardest part. Now you just got to decide which readathon you're participating in this month. So as always, there is a link to all of the hosts' videos in a playlist, as well as the links to their channels in the description below, as well as the dates in case I missed something. If I missed any readathons that you know about, please share them in the comments below so that I could be sure to add them to the playlist. And let me know in the comments which readathons you think you'll be participating in this month. It was a hard choice, but I've decided to go the route of TBR Harvest and Fablen. I really enjoy the magical readathon, and Fablen gave me kind of those role-playing, character-building energy that I really love from other readathons. So I'm going to be doing that and then pairing that with the TBR Harvest haunted house activity game. So that's what I'm going to be doing this month. If you want to stick around, I'm going to quickly build a character with you so you can kind of see how that is set up and what advantages you can get based on how you build your character. And then we'll talk about a couple TBR reads. But if you're just here for the info, thanks for being here and we'll see you next month. Bye. Okay guys, for those of you who have decided to stick around and go over my TBR with me, you're my true fans. I thought I'd introduce you to this bat pillow I made last year. I call her Batricia. And she's so cozy, but she's filled with feathers, so these are always coming out. But this is Batricia, and I love her. So I thought we could build my Fablen character together because this is a new readathon for me, and yeah, before we start, we gotta know what we're in for, right? So there's a couple steps to building a character. First step is choosing which guild you want your character to be a part of. So there's 3 choices. There is the Shadow Aegis, and the description of this is: the Shadow Aegis is a secretive society of adventurers bound by a common goal, maintaining the veils between Fablen and whatever comes after. They are often called on when supernatural dealings are afoot. They are mysterious, loyal, and aloof. Another option is the Crimson Wardens, and this is the red team. A group of monster hunters for hire, the Wardens specialize in tracking down all manner of undead. They travel from town to town seeking places that lack balance between the living and the dead. They are adventurous, intuitive, and brash. And then finally we have the yellow team, which is called the Order of the Golden Rune. A distinct presence in Coniston, the Order is dedicated to the study and preservation of rare magical artifacts. Many members occupy academic positions in the city's universities. They are curious, well-connected, and erudite? I couldn't even tell you what that word means. But based on the rest of the description, I think that my personality fits in best with the Order of the Golden Rune. I find it fascinating to study things, especially old, rare, magical things. So I think that's the guild for me. So yeah, I'm gonna jump into the Order of the Golden Rune. All right, that out of the way. Now we have to pick our species. So here is kind of a list of the different species, and this is going to get me extra points if I read the genre of book that is associated with that species. So of the 12 different choices, I would say my most read types of books would be either contemporary fiction, fantasy, historical fiction, or suspense. So that would put me at that would make me either a human, an elf, a dwarf, or a changeling. So I just need to choose which species to be. I feel like I'm always an elf because they're my favorite. But maybe, I don't know, should I be a changeling? That's kind of like a mix between an elf and a human. Or would it be a dwarf? I'm watching Rings of Power right now, and the dwarf characters are just so cool. And it would motivate me to read more historical fiction, and I have a lot of that on my shelves. So yeah, I think I'm going to do dwarf. I think that'll be fun. Okay, dwarf, final answer. All right, next we have to pick an occupation. So these are the 4 options. We have charlatan, healer, mage, and martial. And this gets you some extra points based on if you choose a book that has this in the title. So since I just decided to go with historical books, which of these would fit history the best? Let's see. I can't think of like any books that I have on my shelf with any of these words except for maybe spell. I just bought the spell book. So yeah, I think I should be a mage. Okay, dwarf mage. That's the final answer. And then we got to pick a weapon. So out of the 6 options here, you get 25 extra main points if you complete these as well. So do I want to read more new releases? No, I need to read off of my TBR. So, okay. You guys, I can either choose an axe and get extra points for reading off my TBR, which will really encourage me, which probably the way I should go. Or I could do mace, and that's read a backlist book, and I think a lot of my TBR is a backlist. I tend to read from a lot of the same authors. Or I could go with sequels. Gosh, this is so hard, you guys. I think I'm going to go with axe, just because then I'll only be picking up books that are on my physical TBR right now, and that's what I really need to focus on. So we'll do axe. So now that I have my character built, I can have some fun picking out books that correspond with those different elements. Again, we're going to do historical fiction and books from my TBR, and hopefully I'll find a couple words with those words in the title, so I can get some extra bonus points there. But other than that, all I know is my 2 book club picks, which are God of the Woods and The Grace Year, which is a little older book, but I've always wanted to read it, so I'm excited to read that as well. So we have an old book and a new book, and I haven't read either of them yet. So I have to get a move on there. And also have a book retreat coming up in October, so I'm excited to share what we do with that. I need to kind of come up with some ideas for my book club, and I'm really excited. So October should be a really fun month. I'm looking forward to all the fun reads, all of the fall things, decorating. I love October. I love all of the Burr months. But October is finally when it starts to sort of cool down in California, so I'm excited for that. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I wish you all the best in your reading month, and I will see you next month in another video just like this one. Bye.